see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. How do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. Now we say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your step. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Well, hello and welcome to day 2 of our Elevate series. I want to welcome you on here. If you are new and you are joining us, just leave your name below or say hello in the comments below. I'd love to get to know you. And if you're joining us again, just share below in the comments there. Let's build community. Let's have conversation around some of the concepts that we are talking about. You know, the lesson today that we're going to be going over is, without question, the most powerful idea that you can ever get your hands on. And it literally changed and saved my life about 6 years ago when I got involved in this information. And, I love that video that I played of Bob, who is my mentor. For many of you who maybe don't know, I'm a consultant with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, and so have had the privilege of learning from Bob Proctor before he had passed, and getting involved in his material and ultimately sharing it with others who want to improve the quality of their life and who want to dream, who want to achieve things beyond what they're currently doing. And, also for those who feel like they're kind of stuck in life, like the conditions and circumstances are far too big to overcome. And the purpose of this series is to share with you the principles and the absolute laws that govern your being and that govern your mind, so that you can rise above those conditions, rise above the so-called challenges in your life and see them in a new light. I truly believe that it is within our own control and our own mind to overcome many of the challenges that we have. And my hope is that throughout today's lesson, you really come to understand the power that lies within you as you begin to bring order to your mind and you start to understand how it functions. Now, I thought I kind of understood before I had kind of got into this, yeah, you think positive, maybe positive things happen, but it just really didn't seem to work for me. I kept getting the same results over and over again. I was frustrated, I was anxious, I was depressed, and my life was just not going the way that I had hoped it would have gone. And it caused me to kind of spiral down into a very dark place, honestly. And it was through this information and through a handful of people that I surrounded myself with that I started to wake up. Things started to get brighter, and I started to realize that I was the solution, that I had everything I needed right here within me. And that all that was missing was the acknowledgement and the willingness to do some of the work and to learn a little bit more about myself. And I came to realize that I really didn't know who me really was. I really didn't know. And, Bob shared a quote from Bill Gove, who was considered the Frank Sinatra of speakers and taught Bob Proctor how to speak. And Bill Gove was quoted once up on stage saying, "If I want to be free, I've got to be me." It says, not the me I think you think I should be, not the me I think my kids think I should be or my spouse thinks I should be. If I want to be free, he says, I've got to be me. He says, so I better know who me really is. Now, I didn't know who I was, and nor did I really know the power that lied within me. But I started to study, and I started to learn about just this marvelous mind of mine, and that it's the same for everyone, and that we all have the ability to strengthen our ability to create using our thoughts. And I started to love me. And I think, in fact, I know that as you get involved in this information, you're going to start to love you a whole lot more. So with that being said, let's dive into today's lesson as we share more on the understanding of your mind and paradigms.
You see, we are created.
So to begin with, I want to share with you a true story from one of my favorite little books called U Squared by Price Pritchett. This is a phenomenal book. I'm just going to read the first little opening chapter here, but it's a high velocity formula for multiplying your personal effectiveness in creating quantum leaps. And so it starts out saying, I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Now, across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there. It would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. And sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. Now, if you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. Bryce Pritchett. I want you to think back to a time in your life, or maybe something that's currently going on in your life, where the more you seem to push and the harder you seem to try, the less you achieved, the more problems that showed up, the more challenges there were, and the less it seemed to work out. I remember distinctly in the case of my emotional life and my mental health, trying to overcome anxiety in the mornings. And I tell you, I had a tremendous amount of anxiety to the point where I was passing out in my classrooms and I was passing out at home. And the more I would force myself to try and feel good, the more the anxiety would ramp up. The more I would try to force myself to go and get somewhere or to go to work or go to school, the more the anxiety would come up, right? I was trying harder than ever to achieve a certain level of calmness and ease in my life. And it just wasn't working. In fact, it was doing the exact opposite. And it wasn't until I started to learn what I'm going to share with you today that everything started to change. And I stopped trying to force things to happen. And I started to just allow myself to be where I was and to feel what I was feeling and realize that it's okay to not be okay. But that if we ever want to expand and elevate beyond where we currently are, we're going to have to start to think beyond where we're at. And that is where we want to get to. We want to expand our level of thinking and start to try a new approach. You see, the fly was so locked in to doing things in a certain way. And this can be related to what we were talking about yesterday in the previous video on paradigms. And that a paradigm is this mental program that has exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And so we're so locked in to doing things in a certain way. And we keep doing those things expecting a different result. And of course, many of us know that this is the definition of insanity, right? Trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And it's just not going to work. And so we've got to begin to step outside of the box and switch up our thinking, begin to think in a different way. And today I'm going to give you a model for that, a working image, so that you can see and visualize how your mind works and the steps that are necessary to create change in your external world. Now, what this boils down to you. Everything I'm sharing with you here today is directed towards you. It's about your life. You may hear me talk about stories of myself or stories of others or different examples. But as I'm sharing this, I want you to think about you. Don't think about your friends or your family members or your coworkers or anybody else in your life. I want you just to think about you and your life right now. Relate everything I'm saying to your life and how you can apply this to improve the quality of yours. And what we realize is that you can literally create your own reality. As you begin to focus on you, as you begin to learn about you, you're going to come to the understanding and the such innate belief that you can absolutely, without question, create your own reality. And in fact, you've been doing it the whole time. From the moment you were born, you've been creating your own reality. The question is whether you are doing it consciously or you're doing it unconsciously. You see, they're what we call unconscious competence out there in the world, where they are unconscious to why they are so successful. Things just seem to work out for them. They earn the amount of money they want to, they have the health that they want to, they're in the careers they want to. Things just seem to pan out. They're unconscious competence. They're successful in life, but they can't articulate why they're successful. And what we want to step into is becoming conscious competence, where we are consciously aware of what we're doing in our internal world and how that's having an effect on our external world. Because make no mistake about it, your external world is a reflection of what's going on internally. It's just a reflection. Everything you see outside of you is the manifestation of your past thinking. And so if we want to change our external environment, we've got to begin to change where it originates. And that lies in the mind. It lies in the mind. And so let's take a look at the mind and paradigms. We've talked a little bit about the mind before in a previous lesson, but I want to give it the attention it deserves. This is truly, without question, one of my favorite lessons to teach people, because it gives you an inner belief in the power that resides within you. And you can harness that power and utilize it for whatever it is that you want to improve the quality of your relationships, your business, your health, your mindset, whatever it may be. But we got to begin to understand it. And so back in about 1934, there was a doctor from San Antonio, Texas, Dr. Thurman Fleet. He was in the healing arts. And he said, we're treating symptoms in the body. And he says, we're not getting to the root cause of things. He says, everything originates from the mind. And if we ever want to have true health, we must treat a person holistically. And he says, everything originates from the mind. And so it's to the mind that we have to turn to if we ever want to have true health. But he says, no one's ever seen the mind. For a majority of people, you know, when you think of the mind, you think of the brain. And I've asked hundreds of people, tell me what your mind looks like. And 90% of the time I hear, well, my brain. But the truth is that your brain is no more your mind than your fingernail or your elbow or your hair. Your mind is an activity, and your brain is just controls of physical functions. It's an electronic switching station, and it's connected into your central nervous system. But it's your mind that controls everything else. Your mind is an activity, and your mind is movement, and it's actually within every cell of your being. Now, we don't really have an image of the mind then. When we think of the mind, we go blank. If it's not the brain, then we really have no idea with it, you know, what it is. We have no cells of recognition for the mind. And so he said, I'm going to draw a picture of the mind. And this, of course, is what he drew. And we call this the stick person. And we split it up into two circles. We have this larger circle on top that represents your mind, and the smaller circle that represents your body. Now, it's the mind that controls the body. And so the mind is larger than the body because the body is just an instrument of the mind. It just does exactly what the mind tells it to do. And so Thurman Fleet said, I want you to visualize and see that there's a line going across your head. You can visualize this. From the nose up represents your conscious mind or your thinking mind. And from the nose down, let's say, represents your subconscious mind. Now, that's not the way it is, right? But we need an image to work with so that we can visually see what's taking place. And of course, down here, we have your body. Conscious, subconscious, and your body. Now, in there, we have what we call your paradigm. And your paradigm lies in the subconscious part of you. And it's this mental program, again, that has the most exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And let's remember that almost all our behavior is habitual. We are literally programmed to think the way that we think, to act the way that we act, right? And if you don't believe me, just watch people and just think, would people really do what they're doing if they were thinking? Would they really do or say what they're saying if they were really thinking? And I think the more that you look into this, you realize that the truth is that most people aren't thinking. They are running on programmed way of thought. And many of those thoughts they've been thinking for their entire lives. It's programmed right into you. In fact, from the moment of conception, the thinking is already there. It's passed down through the genes, right? This is our paradigm. It controls families. It controls companies. It controls cultures, right? It's your collection of beliefs and habits. Many of them may serve you, but at the same time, there is probably a handful of belief systems that you're operating with that aren't serving you and that are producing results that are not what you desire. Now, a simple change in the way we think and in the basis of our thinking will change everything. It is 95% mindset and 5% your strategy. You see, your conscious mind is in control of about 5%, where your subconscious mind is in control of 95% of all your results, perceptions, and behaviors. And so the problem is that we spend so much time thinking consciously, trying to gather more information. If I knew more, maybe I would do more, maybe I would be better. And so we start getting more education, we start going to school, getting more degrees, learning more. And at the end of the day, we end up with this superior knowledge, but inferior results. And it causes confusion and chaos in our minds and in our lives, because we know that we can do better because we have the information all locked up in the conscious mind, but we don't actually do better. It's not a part of who we are. We haven't made it a part of the paradigm. And there are thousands, millions of people on the planet today who are just gathering more information and not integrating it in with their behavior so that it can produce the results they want. Once you get something into your subconscious mind and it becomes part of the paradigm, the behavior and the results are automatic. But as long as you hold it in your conscious mind, nothing's going to change, at least on a permanent level. And so let's take a look here at your mind again, and let's break it down into the three parts we're looking at. Now, specifically the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And so the conscious mind, we can take a look at and say, well, this is your thinking mind. In fact, it's your educated mind. This is where you pile up the books. You go to school and you gather more information. You see, that's part of our conditioning that we think we need more information to do better. But there are many people out there who are illiterate and building businesses, earning all kinds of money, living the life that they want to, yet they never went to school. Right? I think of my mentor, Bob. He had 2 months of high school, no business experience, yet he was a phenomenal impact in the lives of millions of people around the world, earned millions of dollars, made huge impacts in all kinds of lives, and had very little education, right? We get so locked into thinking that we need to learn more and gather more. The truth is, you already have it all. You have everything you need to create the results that you want. Now, the conscious mind can also accept or reject ideas. And I often tell people that anything I'm saying here today, you can reject. I hope you accept it because it's fantastic information, but you can reject it, and you can also accept ideas. And this is where you can choose. You can choose what you get involved in. You see, thoughts are in the air. Ideas are in the air. It's all here. Creation is finished. And so everything there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present in all places at the same time. Our job with the conscious mind is to choose and select the ideas and the thoughts that we want to get involved in. You don't have to accept ideas that don't serve you. Someone says something to you that isn't very nice, reject it. You don't have to accept it. If there's something going on outside in the economy, in the world, that you don't want to be a part of, it may be real and it may be right. But if you don't want it to be a part of your life, just reject that idea. Choose a new idea. Choose what you want to get involved in. Because remember, you create your own reality. You create it. You can create your own economy if that's something you wish to do. And it all starts in here with selection. Selecting the idea, choosing the ideas that you consciously want to get involved in. And this is where your intellect resides. This is what separates us from all the other creatures in the world. You see, we have an intellect. Instinct was removed and the intellect was put in its place for us. Animals, they run on instinct. They blend in with their environment, where we stand out in our environment simply because we've been given the ability to create our own environment. Now, in our intellect resides our higher mental faculties, which, coming from a background of education, we don't teach kids. We do not teach kids that they have 6 higher mental faculties to create the life that they want, to solve problems, to overcome challenges, to see things in a different perspective, right? To develop a positive self-image for themselves. All this can be done through these faculties. They are imagination, perception, reason, will, memory, and intuition. Now, school gets pretty good at teaching memory, where we read something, we memorize it, we internalize it, we remember it, we spit it back out, and we call that learning. The truth is that just because you can memorize something doesn't mean you're actually going to act on it. And so we have these higher mental faculties that we can utilize to create. And they're all connected into the conscious mind. Next, we have our subconscious mind, which is the emotional mind. It's what the ancient Greeks referred to as the heart of hearts. You may have heard the quote, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You see, it's not what we think on a conscious level that creates our life. It's what we think and internalize and emotionalize that becomes the seed for the life that we live, right? That is what manifests in our life, is what lies in the emotional mind. Now, the subconscious mind, where the conscious mind can accept or reject, the subconscious mind cannot reject ideas. It has no ability to reject. It can only accept ideas. And so whatever gets handed over to it through repetition and through getting emotionally involved must be accepted by the subconscious mind. And the interesting thing is that it cannot even determine the difference between what's real and what's simply imagined. Right now, you can close your eyes, you can activate your imagination, which is given to you to create your future, and you can build an image on the screen of your conscious mind of the life that you really want to live. Forget about all the obstacles right now. Forget about the conditions and circumstances. Build an image of the good that you desire. See it. Bring some clarity to it. And as you start to get emotionally involved with that and you live that, you see, true visualization is simulation. True visualization is simulation. You got to get all the parts right, all the moves, the emotions, and the way that it looks, feels, touches, tastes. See it in your mind. Get emotionally involved with that. Do it over and over again. And you'll lodge that into your subconscious mind, and it believes it's happening right now. It cannot determine the difference. And because the subconscious mind is the seat of action for the body, well, you begin to move it into form. You begin to attract things into your life that are in harmony with that because you now believe that this is taking place. What's happening in your mind is now the reality, and what's happening around you is now an illusion. And you want to convince your mind, you want to convince yourself of this, that what you see and hear as you're visualizing is the truth. And what you see out there, that's just a product of your past thinking, and it has no power over you unless you give it power. Unless you give it power, right? Now let's understand that there is a power that flows to and through you constantly. I choose to call it spirit. You may choose to call it energy, source, God. But we know that there's a power that flows to and through you into your consciousness. And this power just is. It just is. It is neutral. And as it flows into the consciousness, we make it what it is. We can take it to the negative side of things, or we can take it to the positive side of things. It is by virtue of our thinking that we take this neutral power and we start to create things. We start to determine the meaning of it, right? But this substance that you're working with here, it just is. And so what happens is we get going through life, and maybe we set a goal for ourselves. Maybe we dream and aspire for something more. An opportunity to express our uniqueness that each and every single one of us feels inside. You want to do better. You want to experience more. You want to achieve more. That is natural. And that is spirit wanting to express itself in a much fuller way, because that is what spirit is for. It's for fuller expression and expansion. And so this power flows to and through you. And we can go to two different sides. We can go to the side of ignorance, or we can go to the side of knowledge, the negative or the positive. This is what we call the law of polarity, which states that there's both a negative and a positive to everything. There's an up and a down, in and out, hot and cold. And we can't have one without the other. Each side is necessary, and we want to kind of find a balance. But ultimately, the more we focus on that positive side, the more we're going to create. And so what happens is we bring this power in, and because we are programmed to think in reverse, we're programmed to think of our past problems, our past failures, and all the things that happened to us and why we couldn't do better. What happens is we start to worry and doubt about the future. We've got a power that we can make anything we want out of it. We can build any image that we want with this power. And we choose to think negatively. We choose to worry and doubt. And worry and doubt come onto the screen of the mind as an image, and we start building images in our mind of a negative thought image. And what happens is that this image then gets impressed upon our subconscious mind, and it is impressed upon there on an emotional level as fear. Is fear. Now, whatever is impressed must be expressed. And it's expressed with and through the only instrument that it can be, which, of course, is your body. And so it's expressed on a physical level as anxiety. We've got worry and doubt on a conscious level, fear on an emotional level. And whatever is impressed must be expressed. And now we have anxiety. You know, if you've ever experienced anxiety, you know that we don't express anxiety, really. We don't show, we suppress it. And the suppression of that anxiety turns into what we call depression, right? Depression is really anger turned inwards. That's what it is. It's anger turned inwards. And the depression turns into dis-ease. And it causes disintegration, right? And this all happens, wham, just like that. When I was in a state of fear and anxiety, it happened like, whoom, just like that, instantly. There was a power flowing to and through me, but because I had the paradigm and the belief that I wasn't good enough and that I was, people were critical of me, that I believed that, worry and doubt start to come on the screen of my mind. And I start to picture myself in the worst case scenario. Fear starts to build, and wham, anxiety hit me just like a brick wall. And of course, I started to stuff that down inside, and I became really depressed. My health started to deteriorate, right? All kinds of things starting to go wrong, simply because the thought seed of worry and doubt. And we stay on that side of ignorance. Now, ignorance doesn't mean rude, like many people think. Ignorance means simply not knowing. I didn't know that there was a better way back then. I didn't know. I was like the fly on the wall from U Squared. I was like the fly on that windowsill trying to break through the glass of the window pane. And I simply could not see that there was a door wide open, that there was a much better way to do it. I believe there's always a better way. You may be doing great, but there's always a better way. There's always improvement that we can make because we're infinite. There's no end to the good that you can experience. And it all starts with our thinking, our perception. And as we change our perception, we change our reality. Wayne Dyer put it very well when he said, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. We change the way we look at things. Well, in order to change the way we look at things, we've got to take this power that's flowing to and through us. It just is, and we've got to build new images. And so let's step over to the side of knowledge and see how we can get out of the flow of the worry, doubt, fear, and anxiety. And on the side of knowledge is understanding, right? The opposite of worry and doubt is understanding. I now don't fear about what's going to happen, but I understand. And what we want to understand is the laws of our being. We want to understand how our mind functions. We want to understand our connection to the universe and how we can work in harmony with the natural laws to produce what we want. You see, and if we don't, we become criminal to the laws because of our ignorance. Because of our ignorance, right? So let's gain understanding. Now, there's only one way to gain understanding, and that's through study. There's multiple ways to study, but if you want to understand, you've got to study. Now, I've committed my life to sharing and teaching others through the form of study to gain understanding about themselves. And I tell you, it is such a rewarding experience and such incredible experience to see people wake up in their life and to realize that they have control over their life, to control over their thoughts as they begin to understand this. And what happens is, and I see it all the time, through the repetition of this material, watching it over and over and over again, listening to this, showing up to these series and different events that we put on. One day it clicks and you go, oh my goodness, I get it. Or at least I'm getting it. And you start to develop faith. You're no longer in a state of fear and worrying about where the money's going to come from, how you're going to improve your life, how you can improve your relationships, what the future looks like, right? You now have faith. Now, this isn't blind faith. This is faith based on understanding. Now, one of the best definitions of faith that I ever heard was that faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe in the incredible, and that will permit you to receive what the masses call impossible. There's been many things that people have told me that I probably shouldn't be doing, or that it wouldn't work. And I just take and I reject those ideas because I know that if I can see it in my mind, I can hold it in my hand. I can create the life that I really want to live. I have faith based on understanding on how my mind works. And so will you as you begin to study this information and make it a part of your life. Now, there's an interesting thing about faith and fear, and that's that they both require us to believe in something that we cannot see. We cannot see it, but they both require us to believe in it. So why would anybody let fear guide them in life? Well, it stems from ignorance. It stems from the fact that we simply don't know that there's a better way. But it's a funny thing that as we start to understand a better way, it's like, oh my goodness, it was here the whole time. Why didn't I see it? It's like the fly. Why didn't I see the door that was open? Only 10 seconds of flying time away. And so I want you to clearly understand that the solutions for many of the challenges that you're going through right now are simply right under your nose. They are right within you. And the more you begin to study yourself and understand yourself, you're going to realize that you are your source of security, that you are the source of all the solutions. You're your greatest problem, but you're also your greatest solution. And you're going to develop an unwavering faith in yourself and your ability to create the life that you want. And what happens is you start to move yourself not into anxiety, but into a state of well-being. That positive idea gets expressed, right? And it truly does become expressed. You don't need to wonder if somebody is in a good mood when you see them. They express it. It's expressed on the physical level because of the images and the ideas that they're holding in their mind. And the expression of well-being puts you at ease. You're no longer in dis-ease, but you're at ease. Always hyphenate the word dis-ease. It's a body that's not at ease. You want to become relaxed. Because if you can imagine like this, if you have a garden hose and the flow of water is coming through there and you kink it, you put a kink in the hose, well, you stop the flow of it. Well, the second you begin to worry and doubt, it's like you put a kink in the hose and you stop this beautiful flow of power that flows to and through you. And so when you're creating, when you're manifesting things, when you're utilizing the power of your mind, you've got to allow yourself to relax. Allow your creative success mechanism to work. We all have a mechanism within our mind that can either be used for success or can either be used for failure. And the more you allow this to work by getting relaxed, which relaxation is an entry into your subconscious mind, which is the seat of action for the body, right? That's what determines what vibration you place yourself into. And vibration determines what you attract. And this causes creation. You see, there's a basic law in our universe that states you're either creating or you're disintegrating. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. You see, we can never cease creating things in our mind. The law of our being, the law of creation, it will continually pump out manifestations of our thinking. Our job is to determine what will be created. And so it's right here that we start to realize and understand the importance of regulating our thinking. And you might think that, well, then this seems really difficult because I have thousands of thoughts a day. How am I supposed to keep track of them all? Well, a great way to keep track of what you're thinking is to focus on what you're feeling. Focus on what you're emotionally involved in, because that'll tell you what you're thinking. If you're in a low level of emotion, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, you know that you're mentally and emotionally involved in the wrong idea. And so keep track of your emotions and they'll tell you what you're thinking. And so here we have the three levels of your being. Remember, you are a spiritual being, you have an intellect, and you live in a physical body. And thoughts are of a spiritual nature. Thoughts are all in the air because creation is finished. Everything there ever was, all the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is 100% evenly present. The knowledge to build these cell phones has always been here. Always. The knowledge to fly an airplane was always here. But individuals like the Wright brothers got in harmony with the idea. And they just brought things into a better working order. And as you pull in ideas, pull in thoughts, individual thoughts from spirit, from the know thing, you pull together and you build an idea in your intellect. We've all done this. This is thinking, is working from the upside down and the inside out, right? Working from the no thing to something, and from the internal desires outwards into the world. And so you pull these thoughts in together and you build an idea in your mind. You think from your ideas. And that idea must move into form. It absolutely must move into form. It was Andrew Carnegie who commissioned Napoleon Hill to write the book, Think and Grow Rich. And he said that any idea that is held in the mind that's either feared or revered will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and available forms. It just begins to move into form, right? Now, there's a great section here that I want to read from one of my favorite books called Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And it's on the power of assumption. And he says here that man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. He says, all that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A person's consciousness is all that they think and desire and love. All they believe is true and consent to. And this is why a change of consciousness is necessary before you can change your outer world. He says rain falls as a result of a change in the temperature of higher regions of the atmosphere. So in a like manner, a change of circumstance happens as a result of a change in your state of consciousness. Now, to be transformed, the whole basis of your thoughts must change. But your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas. For you think from your ideas, from your paradigms, right? All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. You must want to experience a different reality before it will take place. You've got to reach a certain level of desire and a healthy dissatisfaction with where you currently are. Let's understand it's okay where you are right now. But I know and you know that you want to do better, that you want to experience more, that you want to rise above and elevate your life experience. And that's going to require us to have new ideas, to build new pictures in our mind. The problem is that we are so conditioned to think in reverse and to think from our present current circumstances that we never have the space in our mind to draw in from this infinite source of supply and build any image that we desire. You see, we have to understand that all these levels of our being are interconnected. There is no line of demarcation where one part of us starts and the other part stops. They're all connected like colors of a rainbow. And so when you create change in the higher parts of you, on the spiritual side of you, the non-physical side, instantly and automatically, you're going to create change in your mind. You're going to create change in your physical reality because it's all connected. You cannot create change in one area and not have it create change in another. And so as you begin thinking new thoughts, you're going to start to notice that you have new ideas. And those new ideas are going to begin to move into form. What's a habit? We talked about this the other day, is that a habit is simply an idea that is lodged into your subconscious mind. It is a fixed idea. And that's what habits are. They are fixed ideas in your subconscious mind. And those ideas have exclusive control over your habitual behavior and the results that you experience. You see, this is what we call the perpetual transmutation of energy. Everything moves from a higher to a lower potential, and energy is always moving in form, through form, and out of form. Because creation is finished. We literally live in an ocean of motion. Everything there ever was or ever will be is already here. And so it's our job to pull in and choose and select the ideas that we want to get involved in. Are you selecting ideas that are going to serve you in growing into who you know you're meant to be? Or do you find yourself getting involved in ideas of the past, ideas that are limiting, ideas from other people. See, so many of us let other people create our life. It's an interesting thing to think about, really. And I was in that place for so long. I would try to follow what everybody else was doing. And I would change my opinions to suit other people's beliefs because I didn't want to be different. I didn't want criticism. I cared so much about what other people thought of me that I just became a mirror image of other people to reflect to them what I thought they wanted. And I diminished myself. I wasn't living in my authenticity. I wasn't living from my values. I was injecting the values of others into my life and then expecting to live a happy life. You will never live a fulfilling life as long as you are living based on somebody else's values and ideas and allowing them to dictate how you live. Step into your power, step into your authenticity, build the ideas that you want. And as you start to understand this, you're going to develop the faith that if you can see it, you can experience. You know that if you build the image in your mind, it'll come true for you. And you just have to follow these steps here and get involved in this information. And so here we are, again, your conscious mind, subconscious, and body. And we have these little sensory factors that are on the top of our conscious mind. We see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. And it's how we've been conditioned to operate within our world. And so we've got all this information that is rushing in through the conscious mind, news and media and other people's opinions and information that is just flooding in. And of course, as it comes in, we can accept or reject the ideas, right? The information comes in from the outside world. We can accept it or reject it. Now, if we accept ideas, we then take and we impress those ideas upon our subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, of course, must accept the idea. And this, of course, is where your paradigm lies. And so there's many ideas that you've accepted over the years that were limited ideas that built a limiting paradigm in your mind rather than an empowering paradigm. And it got lodged into your mind. And we have to remember that it's what lies in your paradigm and in your subconscious mind that controls the actions of your body. And what happens here is that you will move into action based on what lies in your subconscious mind. Your body literally shifts in vibration. And we start to feel differently. Feeling is a word that we've invented to describe the conscious awareness of the vibration you're in. Conscious awareness of the vibration you're in. It's what lies in your subconscious mind that dictates your vibration. Now, you and I have the ability to alter the vibration we're in. Everything in our universe is vibrating. You take a very powerful microscope and you look at your hand or the wall and you'll just see energy dancing right before your eyes. And you can alter that. And as you alter it, you're going to alter your behavior. You're going to alter the actions that you take. And for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. And it's this reaction that alters your conditions, your circumstances, and your environment. Or what we just say is your results. Now, the problem lies in the fact that we take those sensory factors of ours, we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, and we look at our results, and we let those results build an image on the screen of our mind. And we just accept it. We just say, well, this is the way it's always been. This is the way it's always going to be. And we start labeling ourselves. I am, and we fill in the label. You see, the words I am are some of the most powerful words you'll ever say, because whatever follows those words creates your reality. Creates your reality. And so we let the outside control the way we think. And then we get emotionally involved in those ideas. And that determines the vibration we're in, which determines what we attract in our life. You see, we've heard a law of attraction, and that if we think things will attract like experiences. But what we have to understand is that law of attraction is a secondary law, and that we cannot attract anything to us that we're not first in vibrational harmony with. And so vibration, the law of vibration, is the primary law. You've got to get emotionally involved in the ideas that you're building. It's not enough just to think positive thoughts. You've probably tried this before. Thinking positively simply does not work. That positive thinking has to become a part of your paradigm, and you've got to get emotionally involved in the idea. And you do this by really normalizing it in your life. You do this by creating it as a simulation in your mind. You do this by demonstrating to the universe that you are creating this. Go out and get emotionally involved in the ideas that you want to. If you want a new home, go out and look at new homes. You want a new vehicle, go out and test drive the new vehicle, right? If you want a better attitude, act as if you have a better attitude. If you want to be more outgoing, act as if you are an outgoing, confident individual. You see, the actor's technique is one of the most phenomenal techniques that you can employ in your life. And it's something that I did for myself as I shifted from anxiety to a place of serenity and confidence, was simply employing the actor's technique. Now, it all started with my thinking. I started to tell myself that I am a confident, at ease individual. I'm so happy and grateful now that, and then I would fill in the blank. I carried a goal card around with me, a little card that had my goal on it. Then every time I touched the goal in my pocket, the image of what I was trying to manifest in my life would flash on the screen of my mind. And I was thinking of what I wanted more than what I didn't want. And it placed me in a different vibration. It caused me to take new action. I would step out and do things that I never would have done before. I started to act like the person I wanted to become. And today I've become that person simply because I started to change my mindset. Remember, it's 95% your mindset, 5% your strategy. And so let's take a look here at your paradigm and the areas of your life that your paradigm has an enormous influence over. First of all, your perception. Your paradigm controls your perception, the way that you view the world. Now, a simple shift in your perception can change everything. Once the result is there, you can't necessarily change the result. But what you can change is your perception of the challenge. You can choose to look at it in any way, and nobody can make you think anything that you don't want to think. You're in charge of the meaning that you place on conditions and circumstances. You're in charge of that. Your use of time. Your paradigm controls your use of time. You see, we all get the same amount of time. It's what we choose to do with that time that makes the difference. And you cannot manage time. Time cannot be managed. But what we can do is manage our activities. And since our activities are a direct result of what's going on in the subconscious mind and your paradigm, as you begin to alter that, you're going to find that your use of time becomes much better. You accomplish more in a year than most would in 5 as you begin to change the paradigm. Your creativity. You see, we're all creative. We're all creative. It comes from the root word creator, which is within. We all have the ability to be creative. It's just a matter of whether you are using it or expressing it. It's not reserved just for artists and musicians. You can begin living a creative life by living creative visualization, right? Get involved in creative visualization. Build the image of what you want and follow those steps through the stick person. And as you express that outwards, you start to become much more effective. You increase your use of time. You start to become more effective in your life, right? And as you become more effective, you become more productive. Things just start to improve. And lastly, the biggest thing that your paradigm controls is your logic. Logic stops more people than almost anything else. They think, well, that's just not logical, right? But individuals like the Wright brothers or Sir Edmund Hillary, who climbed Mount Everest, they didn't let logic stand in their way, right? Logic is like this invisible ceiling that a person never breaks through. And as you begin to change the basic thoughts in your mind, in your habitual ways of thinking, you're going to start to realize that you can kind of tuck logic in your pocket. You can throw it out the window for a while, right? Do the illogical. Because if you think it's logical, it's based upon what your paradigm is. And if you're always going based on what is logical, then you're always going based on what you've always done. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Do the illogical. Step outside and do something different with your life. Give yourself permission to do something magnificent with your life here on the planet Earth. But you see, the problem is that anytime we go to step out and make a change in any of these areas, it's as if we hit a brick wall. It's as if we can't break out of the box. We go to see something different and it's, wham, we just can't see a different way. We just can't break through that productivity. But here's the deal. As you make the decision to change your paradigm and upgrade your life, it's as if the walls come down. It's just like that. As you make the decision. And so right here, I want you to make the decision that you're going to utilize these, that you're going to begin to alter that deep-rooted conditioning in your mind. And you're going to find that the walls come down. And that when you go to take a step towards what it is that you want and make a change in these areas, you can actually create change. It doesn't mean that you're not going to come up against obstacles, but it means now that you will actually be able to step out and do what it is that you want. Now, I just want you to imagine for a moment how your entire life would change as you begin to improve any or all areas of your life. If you could just change your use of time, what would that do for you in your life? If you could just change your perception on certain things, how would that benefit you? Well, I'll tell you, change is huge. And more importantly, it's permanent. It's permanent because it's become a part of who you are. And you don't attract what you want in your life. You attract from who you are. You attract based on your self-image, like we talked about yesterday. And so this really becomes a black and white deal. It does not matter how hard you work or how many hours you put in. If the paradigm doesn't change, ultimately the results will remain much the same from one year to the next. That's just how it is. You may have little increases here and there, but ultimately the paradigm pulls us back in because of that cybernetic system in our mind that is set at the certain goal, image, and picture. Just like the thermostat in your home is set. And if something changes in the environment, it brings it right back. So are you and I. Unless and until that paradigm changes, the results remain much the same. This is the importance of mindset. It's not just about thinking fluffy, positive thoughts. It's about really understanding the psychology behind it. It's about understanding the functions of your mind and what's required to change these deep seated thoughts and belief systems that lie in your mind. Now, that's exactly what I teach people through a process called Thinking into Results, which was designed as a one-of-a-kind system based on over 125 years of intensive research on the science and mechanics of personal achievement. And so this is one of our elite programs that we run here, leading people through a step-by-step process to teach you how you can think into results. You get lifetime access to this program. And it's something that you can use again and again and again as you begin to raise in your conscious level of awareness, right? This is not about gathering more information. What we teach here is how to expand your level of awareness so that you can become aware of how to do much better than you're doing right now. Become aware of how to overcome those challenges. Because you see, I'm operating on the premise that you already know how to do much better than you're doing. You're just not doing it because of those old belief systems. And you see, frequently when we reevaluate our beliefs, our belief about the situation changes. And so what thinking and results allows you to do is begin to reevaluate your life. It begins to allow you to reevaluate the situations you're in, reevaluate your thinking and your belief systems. And together with these modules, there's 12 modules that we run you through, from setting goals to developing a positive self-image to understanding what we call the terror barrier, how to break through fear, how to become a leader in whatever industry you're in or in the life that you're in. And together with Bob mentoring you through videos and myself mentoring through you over a 6-month period, you will literally need a telescope to see where you've come from. I see it time and time again where people radically change their life as they get involved in this information. Stop gathering more and start expanding your level of awareness of what's already within you. And that's what we're going to lead you through. If you're interested in joining the Thinking and Results Mentorship Program, just reach out, leave a comment below, or reach out to me individually. And I'd be happy to get on a call with you and share a little bit more of any information that you'd like to know about getting involved in this. So let's understand that when paradigm stays in control, nothing changes. You see, it's either you in control or it's the paradigm in control. And if you're watching this, I think you're here because you're ready to step into your power. You're ready to step into your authenticity, into your values, and stop letting the outside world control the way that you think. And stop letting those old, outdated belief systems control the way you think. It's time to upgrade ourselves. It's time to expand our level of awareness. And so for today, here's your call to elevate. Each day through these 5-day series, I'm going to give you a call to elevate. Last time, you went through and wrote out the description of the results you were getting that you did not want. And then you started to describe a self-image for yourself and the experiences you wanted that you did want, and starting to internalize that. And so there's 2 parts to this call to elevate. The first part is answering the question, if your external world is a mirror image of your internal world, an internal image, what is your external world telling you about your self-image? Take some time to answer that, honestly. And second, ask yourself and develop here, what belief must I internalize to create the reality I desire? What is the belief? What is the paradigm that you need to develop and internalize to create the reality that you desire? Work backwards. Build the image of the reality you wish to experience, a life that you truly would love. And then ask yourself, what's the mindset associated with that? What is the belief associated with that? And then start to follow what we have laid out here for you on how to impress those new ideas, that new belief system, into your mind, into your subconscious mind. So there's your call to action for today. I want to thank you for hopping on. If you're watching the replay, let me know. And if you have questions about anything I'm sharing, or you'd like to have a conversation about your specific situation, reach out to me and I'd love to get on a call with you. So it's been wonderful being with you. I hope to talk to you in the very near future. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Take care.